Hey, this time here again, I'm just going to show you how I modify one of the Gibraltar cajon pedals here in place of using this cable here. I replaced that basically with a double base link rod. It's got two ball joints on the ends. These rods here, they come in different things, but these rods here actually have a D slot in them. It's in the shape of a D. So what that means is the shaft should actually have a flat on it so that D can kind of fit on it, and basically this shaft doesn't have that. So what we're going to do later is when we pull this all apart and reassemble it, I'll use a Dremel to Dremel a flat on it. But basically the first thing you need to do is take this arm off, which basically holds the cable on it. This arm always kind of comes sort of a little loose, but there's a lock nut on the back, so you basically want to grab that lock nut, and then with your key, because it's a rod, you basically want to back this all out completely. Pull this nut right out, and basically leaves it so that the cable's dangling here. Now basically you really don't need this whole assembly. Even this lever arm you don't really need. That's being held on with a a keyed screw here, but also Phillips screw on the back side. So the first thing I'm going to do is back out that Phillips screw. As many as I've done, some screws come real tight. It seems like they put Loctite on it, and others don't. This one seemed like there was nothing on it. It's bone dry. So it's a pretty long screw. Then you basically back this screw out, and the whole assembly will come sliding off. So there's one side of the cable assembly, and basically what the shaft has on it is a little collar, and you basically want to leave that collar on it now. It's just a spacer. We're going to use that spacer too, but as you see, the shaft here is perfectly round and it's serrated kind of on the edge there so that the screw grip it, but we are going to grind a slot on that later on. As for the other one, it's the same thing too. It has a the arm that holds the bracket on has a lock nut in the back. Basically just loosen this guy up. You're basically taking off the entire cable assembly, brackets and all. 3 years that I've used the cable system, I finally broke one. I've known some people to break them real early. They must be stomping on it real hard. Same thing here. You back this Phillips screw out first, then this other back screw. Yeah, it took me 3 years to break a cable, and I was playing 3-4 times a week, so I just did not like the sloppiness of it. Same thing here. Back this screw out here, and this whole assembly comes off too. So basically what you're left with is this whole cable assembly, brackets and all, and you could put that aside. What you're left with is the pedal with a shaft with a collar on it, and the beater with the same exact shaft with the same exact collar on it. I've noticed too, these collars are a little different. On this pedal here, this collar it's actually milled a little, and that's so that it will fit the bearing better. Now basically what we have to do is mate these up. The problem, so that you would basically put it like this, or you push the pedal, but you could see, if the way it's set up, when you push the pedal down, it would spin the beater in this direction. That's not what you want. You basically want this. So what I basically do is, I'll show you what I do on this pedal here. All these screws you can set aside. On the pedal, what I basically do is, you can see the cam, like most bass pedals, the cam points towards the back, the belt pulls it, so that you basically get a beater sound. It usually beats the front of a bass drum. But we want it to spin in the opposite direction, so I was looking at it, I'm saying, well, how are you spinning in the opposite direction? You basically take this cam and you reverse it, so that the belt pulls in the front. When the belt pulls in the front, it will turn in the right direction. But the only way to do that is to really do it. If you were to do that, take this off and reverse it, the belt would be on a real angle. I've done it. It doesn't work right. You basically have to slide this pedal back by that same amount of distance. So by moving this pedal back by this distance here, it'll allow the belt to pull straight. And the only way to do that is to extend this plate. And that's where I came up with this little plate here. It's 3D printed. I made it so that oops, I lose that screw. I made it so that it matches the back of the plate. It's going to extend the base pedal by, it looks like about 1.5 inches. And we'll take the screws on the bottom of the piece. We'll take those out. I actually have one of these made already so that the screw holes are in the right position. This one here is an old one, but I'm going to just use it. I'll re-drill it. But basically, we'll remount everything on it with that whole thing slid back. But in order to do that too, to take this cam off, it's a little tricky. You have to disassemble this hole. You basically have to take off this piece here with the spring and all. There's also a Phillips screw on that back side, so we'll take off this Phillips screw. Like I said, some of these screws are loose. Some seem like they have Loctite on them. It's really strange. When I reassemble this, it's probably not a bad idea to really use Loctite on these, especially if you don't think you're going to be taking them apart anymore. This one here is just a dirty hole. Pull this off with the spring and all, leave that off. Now basically what you want to be able to do is, you can see once you remove everything, this whole thing toggles right out, bearings and all, and that's what you really want to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this belt with the screw. Get that side. And basically you want to take this cam. There's a set screw too on the bottom here that you basically want to loosen up too, because that won't slide anywhere. Just loosen up a little, and you can see it slides back and forth. What you basically want to do is pull this thing out. And if the cam was like this, you know, you basically want to reverse that cam like this. Put it back in. You don't want to lose this bearing here. If you push it, it'll come flying out on the back side. You didn't, you just push it back in again, and there you go. You've now reversed. It's a little tight, and I'm wondering why. I just might have to loosen the set screw up just a little bit. Probably just a little burr on the metal. But basically, you could see that would then allow me, if you were to hook this back up like this, you could see how much of an angle that belt would be at. That just doesn't work. So you really need to basically reassemble this piece back over here. You really need to take these 3 screws off the bottom. This is what holds the foot plate, foot pedal hinge to the plate. I've actually had a friend of mine make me some aluminum plates that are exactly the right length. It's got a bunch of holes all in it. I had him made it for me. I used it once, and I lost it that night. I just never packed it, and just grew legs and walked away. Basically, it's just trying to make it lighter. So there you go. You take the pedal, back of the pedal off. I take this plate, slide it underneath. Adds just a little to the bottom. It's only like about 1/8 of an inch. You add this plate. I would drill these holes, and I'd pop rivet this piece on there so that it becomes part of it. Or what one of my friends did, he epoxied it from underneath. Or if you use screws, it's just going to add more stuff on the bottom. But rivets seem like they work the best, and that's what I'm going to do with this one here. And then you basically take the plate where those 3 holes were. You basically have to drill those. You can basically you can go like this, those holes, put this behind, boom, and use it as a template. Drill those 3 holes, and then slide it back. That's what I'm going to do here. And then when you mount this on here, and you have this, I just lost the bearing, but that's all good. When you have this all on here like this, the belt now pulls. And you could reverse this whole belt so the black's on the outside. There's no big deal with that. So basically, when it's mounted on it, it lines up much better. So that the fulcrum works as intended. And then basically, these shafts, I would just take my Dremel tool and grind 2 flats on each one of them. Put this bar across them, and later in another video, you'll see me. You can see me just explain this one more time and how it works, and I'll play something for it. I hope that kind of makes sense. And like I said, the key is really you need to, reversing this camera is not hard, but you really need kind of like a plate or some type of extension. If you want to make your own base plate, you can copy this and just extend it 1.5 inches. You know. That's it. I'll show you a video later on how it works.